What are you doing in my room? No, don't ask me what I'm doing. What are you doing? You won't tell me what you're doing until I tell you what I'm doing? Fine. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to Quebec City. That's what I'm doing. What do you think of the train? Exquisite. What do you think of the train? Great. Nice. Do you want to be in the video? What do you think of the train? Man, gotta ask. We're on.
Here on Via Rail, you can get all sorts of tasty, delicious items. Snacks, beverages, alcohol. $9 beer. Better than most restaurants.
No, we don't worry about it. We're not in Quebec yet. Once we're in Quebec. Once we're in Quebec, we have to fold this side. We can only read it in French. I mean, this is why you take the train. That's right.
Do they have coffee made?
Yeah, they have coffee. Four.
4, so next one down.
Okay, thanks. I kind of have some crappy cards. We're now in Quebec City. We're in the station of the Palace, Quebec. A completely different country from where we left. Oh yeah.
On va à la fontaine pour y pêcher du poisson, la zigazon zinzon. On va à la fontaine pour y pêcher du poisson, la zigazon zinzon. La fontaine est profonde, je me suis coulé à fond, la zigazon zinzon. Fille en haut, fille en bas, fille, femme, femme aussi, puis la bottine, zin, rigolait, ha ha. Son petit porte-clés tout rouillé, son petit porte-clés tout rouillé, gaiement. Son petit porte-clés tout rouillé, son petit porte-clés tout rouillé, gaiement. La fontaine est profonde, je me suis coulé à fond, la zigazon.
Made it. We're alive most of the time.
So, this is the Plains of Abraham. It's very famous for when Abraham Lincoln landed his plane here. Because that's what that means, right? Yep. It's the famous...
What the fuck are you doing?
Famous Hotel Frontenac, or the Frontenac Tabarnak, as I call it, because it's funny. Anyway, this is like the big famous building. It's on like the Canadian passport stuff. Alright, so I'm doing a little bit of wandering around out here at night. I'm in sort of the new city, which is probably the most Canadian feeling part of this town. There's mostly due to a lot of the brutalist architecture, which is a lot of government bureaucratic offices. But if I'm gonna be honest, the city doesn't really feel as Canadian as most other cities in Canada. It has a much more European feel, even this sort of newer city part. Like the old city, definitely, it's very European feeling, that very sort of organic street layout, very old buildings. But even this sort of area, I don't know, it just doesn't feel very Canadian, even compared to other parts of Quebec, like Montreal. It just doesn't feel the same. I don't really know how to explain it. Maybe it's not quite European, but it's definitely not North American in the feel. Maybe a bit francophone. I don't have too much experience with other French-speaking areas aside from like France, which has a much more European feel. But I don't know, like it feels kind of European. There's definitely a lot of North American elements to it. You can see like the streets are a lot of cars on the roads, which is very North American. But even then, compared to like Ottawa or even Montreal, it seems like a smaller amount. The buildings seem older, the streets seem a bit, even these larger, wider streets, they don't seem as Strode-like. I'm not really sure how to put it, the way this town feels, but it just doesn't feel the same as other parts of Canada, even like out west or the place I haven't been out to Atlantic Canada, which might have its own feel as well. But yeah, I think honestly, like it feels probably the most. This sort of street feels a bit more Quebecois. These buildings remind me a lot of some streets in Montreal, but overall, even compared to Montreal feels a lot more North American than here. So yeah, that's just sort of my 2 cents.
What the fuck? I don't know.
This is a very pleasant atmosphere. Don't you agree?
Bye-bye.
Okay, that just happened. Walking through old Quebec now. It's pretty cool. Very unique for this continent. Very not Canadian feeling, aside from the giant SUVs everywhere. Other than that, a very unique feel to this area. Here we are. Even with the like brick streets, the very close together things, this definitely feels a lot more European now. What do you think?
Of what?
The area.
I love it.
You love it?
History, the meaning behind every building, it's magical.
Right, like Simon's?
Yeah, exactly. Like capitalism, baby.
Gorgeous, honey.
Is this an allegory for capitalism?
I mean, I hope so.
All right. What about that one?
I don't know even what that is. Galerie Roberge?
No, the one next to it. More Simon.
Oh,
See,
more.
Simon is 2 buildings because capitalism. There's multiple Simons.
It's my brother's store, you know?
All right. There's multiple.
Hey.
We're now on a wall. I think this is a monastery. Not quite sure. Very old looking, mixed with some silly new buildings there. Being spied on. Most of the city does look like Europe, especially the old city. Sometimes these modern buildings take out the immersion, but what really reminds you that you're not in Europe is that highway going right next to the old town. Also, there's a lot of Quebec flags here. A lot more than Canadian flags. Which, they like to do that. I just think it's kind of funny. We were in the cities like quite fortified for invasions. However, when the invasion actually came, they weren't exactly ready. But everywhere you walk, there's like old walls, not just in the Citadel part, but all over the city. We've got like these giant blackberry-looking things with some big, I don't know, I'm assuming this is some sort of musical instrument. Not quite sure. Eye contact. Hey!
What?
Alright, okay, wow, what a crazy
Alright, well, last day here.
Do you know where you're going, is this?
It's kind of quieted down for Sunday. Also, the weather's not exactly helping, but it's still pretty nice. Very peaceful atmosphere. Very pretty. And we're back in the train station. Little trip. There we are.
Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge. Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge. Asti de calvaire, asti de cibois, calice de tabarnak. Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge. Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge. Asti de calice de sacrement, cibois de Saint-Esti. Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge. Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge. Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge.